My name is Michelle Cecil. I'm president of United Students and Residence Halls, the Residence Hall Association here on campus. And a couple of weeks ago when we had that string of campus safety issues, I had a couple of people contacting me, asking me if we could get a panel put together similar to what was put together last year after the sexual assault string that we had on campus. And so this is something that I've been working on for a couple of weeks, and I'm all really glad that you could come, and I'm really glad that we have representatives from a lot of different departments. We have people from residence life, dean of students, student affairs, University Police, and Oshkosh Police. So we're going to start out with Chief Lemire. He's going to give some updates of what's been happening, and then some of the departments will go through some of the policies and procedures that are in place on campus to keep you safe and to help relieve that state of mind. And then at the end, we can come around with a mic for students to ask questions. We are recording this, so we can put it online, so feel free to ask questions from friends that may have had, and we'll put the video up online later so that students all over campus can be aware of things that are in place. So I'll open it up to Chief Lemire.
Thank you. I'm going to stand up. If I move around, you can follow me. I talked to some faculty and folks in letters and science the other day, and they kind of like the idea of having a little bit of a rundown first of what had happened. So I'm going to give you some background on the offenses that happened. The assaults or assault and robbery. I know we had the stabbing incident. There was kind of a string of them. So let me go back to the very first one was September 27th. In that incident, it was a student that had been assaulted, but the student was off campus at the time. The student was about a couple blocks off campus. They encountered this male individual off campus. There was a talk of a cigarette or something to that effect, and the person ran to campus in order to find someplace safe to hide because they were following him. When that person made it to campus is when those two people assaulted him. He wasn't robbed or anything at the time. It was an assault. They left him there. He had asked for some help after that, and that's where we ended up locating him. So the assault did take place on campus. It originated off campus is where they first encountered this person and then ran to campus. After that was October 2nd, was the second robbery. That involved two individuals again. There was potentially a gun that was involved, and the person was robbed of their property. No assault, no physical assault took place at that time, but there was potentially the presence of a weapon that the person gave up their property. After October 2nd, it went up to October 20th, and that's when it went down from two individuals to one individual. And this was back again, once again, a heavy-set male, 220 to 250 pounds. And he assaulted someone, once again, just off campus, typically in that Prospect to Scott area. And that person was assaulted pretty good. Personal property was stolen. And then that was reported to the Oshkosh Police Department, and we went on from there. So that went September 27, October 2nd, October 20th. And then we got into that string of 23, 24, 26 area. The armed robbery of JT's Washing Mart happened after that. And directly after that was the incident with the two people that were stabbed. And during the course of these events, the Oshkosh Police Department and our department here on campus had a lot of conversations. We coordinated a lot of how many patrol we were going to have out there, how many uniform patrol we were going to have out there. The community vehicle was out there. We were really concentrating on that Elmwood, Lincoln area corridor, trying to find this person and trying to keep the area safe on top of it. You want to keep people safe, but you want to solve the crime also. That last assault was really an individual punched one person. They ran away, ended up running back towards campus, and one of our sergeants was able to apprehend the person. And through that investigation, we obviously solved the assault that night. And then there was some tying into the assault that happened on October 20th. Now, there's a lot of evidence and further investigation and other stuff that's going on right now. There is a possibility the assault could be tied to the other ones that took place, but we don't have that narrowed down. That person was arrested, have been in custody. Thankfully, since that time, we haven't had any incidents similar to those, so you feel pretty good that this person is in jail. But we never want people to let up on their own personal safety. A lot of the information we put out was telling people to be vigilant about their own safety. Situational awareness is absolutely number one, knowing your surroundings. We always talk about walking in populated areas, walking in groups, all that type of stuff. but also the fact that we have the Safe Walk program, that if you can't walk in a group, we'll provide the group for you. We have CSOs out there that are doing that. We had a couple of assaults that happened last year, and our Safe Walks went up. Same thing happened this year, so thankfully as a university, we have that program. We actually manipulated how many CSOs we put out there so we can accommodate the people that want a safe walk. We also, since the time change, it's getting dark earlier, and we have people asking for safe walks just after 5 p.m., so we've now adjusted the folks that we have out there doing the safe walk from 5 p.m. to midnight, and then another group that goes to anywhere from 2:30 in the morning to 4 o'clock in the morning. So we're really taking care of that type of thing. But I really want to stress on that point about the investigation. There's other things that have happened since that time. I know people have asked about Frederick Street and those types of things, but you'll notice in the news that the cooperative relationship between Oshkosh Police and us has been tremendous, and that really helps in solving crime. And a lot of times you can't solve crime without community involvement also. So it's a group effort to get that type of stuff solved. Jumping ahead just a little bit to Titan alerts, and you can ask more questions about these. We send out Titan alerts when we have something that happened. We made a commitment as a university that we're going to send out notices. Either it's a timely warning that kind of ongoing, we want you to be safe, or an immediate event happened and we want you to take shelter right away. Maybe we had the stabbing or other incidents like that. There's a misconception out there that we should also send Titan alerts when somebody's apprehended and other stuff, but that becomes more of a message board. I think that type of message is better to come out in the media, maybe the Advanced Titan, maybe some other messages that come out. But we want that Titan alert on your phone or your email when that pops up for people to say, that's really important and I need to read it, not, oh, it might just be some follow-up and I'm not going to take a look at it. So we want people to understand what the purpose is of the Titan alert and when we send that. One of the nights when we apprehended the person, we did not send a Titan alert, but the purpose of that is we knew they were in custody. The threat wasn't there anymore. The assault happened. We took them into custody. The assault was over with. There wasn't a need for a Titan alert. Information comes out after that the next day and after that allows you to know what happened, but we don't want to use a Titan alert system just to be a message board, and that's the purpose behind that. Going forward right now, I know we have the Dean of Students, Res Life. There's some stuff that we can talk about related to safety on campus for card access in the buildings, security stations, what we do with victims and other people that need help from the Counseling Center or Dean of Students. And Oshkosh Police is here also for any questions. I may, if I'm not sure if Vice Chancellor Roeder has any words before she wants to leave, or we'll go to Sharon Kippitz if she wants to share anything.
Do I have to use the mic? Figured as much. I really don't have too much to add. I think it's your session, so we'd like to hear from you all as to concerns and answer any kind of questions that you may have. For me, that's always more important than just a group of talking heads sitting up at a table. I do want to take some time to really thank those individuals that have been involved, Oshkosh Police Department, UP, Dean of Students Office, Res Life. There are a number of individuals that were involved and participated in not only addressing the situation on hand or doing the investigation and getting the perpetrator, but also there's a lot of things that go on behind the scene. There's always these secondary kinds of impacts. And I would like to thank everybody for their cooperation and assistance as we try to address these safety issues. I think for the most part, our campus is pretty safe. These are more anomalies than anything else. And but I think what it really did is raised our awareness and our attention to matters that deal with safety, and that safety is a shared responsibility for everyone in the community. So I would encourage people to take care of themselves as well as others. If you see something, say something. I think we've developed mechanisms and reporting so that people, if something doesn't feel right, doesn't look right, it's probably not right. But if you want to double check, we can work with everybody. So I appreciate all the work that everybody that is represented up here, but I also appreciate the work of our campus community. So that's all I really have to say. I think it's more, it's, as much as I'd like to be it about me, but it's more about you guys.
Questions?
What do you want to hear from, or what do you want to tell us, and what do you want to hear from us? You're obviously here because you have a concern, or an interest, or Michelle made you come here.
If anybody has a question, I know I brought up Titan Alert. If anybody has a question on that aspect, if anybody's wondering anything about Safe Walk program, how that works, how you request it, that type of thing, feel free to bring it up. I know at times there's questions on how that works or why we do certain things. And
Joe, do you want to touch upon the availability off campus? There's some concern about is the Safe Walk just on campus, or or can you have a Safe Walk adjacent to campus? Can you explain the parameters?
Sure. There is sometimes, and I talk to a lot of parents, especially when some of this stuff happened and they called in, and I think there gets to be this misperception that Safe Walk is only on campus. The Safe Walk program actually will go up Pearl Avenue to Jackson all the way up to New York, Congress, that type of area. We cover the Summit area on that side of campus towards Fratello's, back to campus, and then Lot 39 across the river we'll also go to. And then we do special requests if stuff comes up. We really want people to understand that we know that people drive to work. Maybe they go off campus to a friend's house. Maybe they're studying, parking on a street in some aspect. Whatever the case may be, we realize that happens, and we want to make sure that we accommodate that type of thing. The other thing that we have, and we always tell people that we don't condone, we don't promote underage drinking. We understand that it happens, but we never want anyone to be afraid to call the police department to get a safe walk if they're underage and had been drinking. So the priority of the police department is that you get a safe walk, no questions asked. If your safety is in concern or you're causing a problem is the only time a police officer will be involved. Otherwise, the CSO does a safe walk, point A to point B, no questions asked. We've had that policy in place for the last 3-4 years, and I can safely say that there's not been one police interaction related to a safe walk in those years. So we really want that part to be the priority, and we don't want any single person to put themselves in harm's way because they're afraid to call for that safe walk. I know your parents like you to use it. I know they tell me on the phone they want you to use it. Doesn't matter if you're male, female, whatever the case may be, they want you to use it and they want you to be safe. So we have that program here. It's available. If you have to call twice a night, that's fine. If you have to call 7 nights a week, that's fine. It's there for you to use. And we've had some CSOs in the crowd right now. We know we've done anywhere from 14 to maybe 30 or 40 in a night. It's been pretty busy, but that's what it's there for, and to get people through those periods of time. It's available to faculty and staff also.
Good. I'm here because I was afraid too, and I guess I wanted more information on what had been happening as far as apprehension of this person. I thought that there were 2 people perhaps, and maybe you could speak to that. And then my other question is, now that you've apprehended somebody, are you lessening the patrol around here? Are you continuing to keep that vigilance up? Because there are a lot of us that are here for events late, and I can use the safe walk as well, but are you patrolling more and continuing to do that?
Yeah, the update that came out after that night, the information came out that it was the heavyset individual, and there was also a thinner male that we were on the lookout for. Oshkosh Police, they can say more if they want to. They did find that person. The person was cooperative. They were not arrested. They weren't involved in the assault, so we're not on the lookout for that second person in that one. The previous assaults had a thinner individual involved, but whether it's the same person or not, we're not sure. So that person could potentially be out there. But we haven't had any incidents since this one has been placed in custody. So that has not been a problem. As far as the patrols out there, and I'll let Oshkosh address that, we're keeping it up. We have a new thing in place. It's called Focus Patrol. We're tracking officers and where they're patrolling. They're calling in when they're focusing on a particular area. We've really been hitting that Elmwood corridor. I was told by Chuck Hermes in facilities today that all those lights that have been out on campus that we've been waiting for those to be replaced, that started yesterday. There was a strip of them that were out. So a lot of those things that were out, and the brightness of those lights are going to be a little bit brighter now. So that should all be going into place also. But we'll keep up our CSOs and our patrols the best we can going forward. And if the safe walks drop down a little bit, we'll lessen patrols. Going into midterms and finals, we have our CSOs are students, so we know they have to study also. But we keep up depending on what the demand is.
As far as the Oshkosh Police Department, the weekend after the stabbing, we increased patrols in the university area. We did what we call the saturation patrol. We had 11 officers and detectives just in the university area, which is actually more than we actually had working the whole shift. We had 10 officers for the rest of the city. We had 11 just in the university area. We have cut back from that. Since the arrest has been made, and since there has been no other further incidents, we have cut back. We still have increased vigilance, I would call it, in the campus area, but as far as having 11 dedicated officers just to it, we have cut that back some.
Do you guys want to maybe talk about the safe zone, which means additional patrols and prosecution if an individual is apprehended and charged?
Yeah. What she was referencing was it's called the UW Oshkosh Safety Zone. It's a cooperation with the district attorney's office that they do with some of the parks and areas in the city of Oshkosh. They designated the area around the university as a safe zone or a safety zone. And what that means is if we have an individual that targets a student in that area and commits a crime, the district attorney's office are placing extra resources and extra emphasis on prosecuting that crime. Where you might, in some other crimes in areas, maybe plea bargain stuff down to something else, maybe work on that type of thing, give a break. They're not going that route. If it's a type of situation where somebody's targeting a student or targeting an area, and one of those safety zones is the campus area, and there's a couple other areas in the city for parks, and it really lessens those areas. It's been fairly successful. We're supplied some information to the district attorney's office on that type of thing. There are some bars in our areas and some things that happen around our parking lots, and that was the type of thing we were trying to lessen is that crime close to campus, and the fact that when we prosecute, they're going to prosecute to the fullest extent if somebody's targeting a student. So that safety zone still exists around our area.
So I know that someone had a question on for students that live off campus. Is there anything that the Oshkosh Police Department has in place that's similar to Safe Walks or any safety things that are in place for students that live off campus, not within the campus region? So students that live in like the Middle Village or students that live maybe in downtown. Is there anything in place from the Oshkosh Police that is similar to help students?
No, not at this time.
I would probably say for off campus. Now that's kind of the ownership of campus. So the University Police Department, our CSO program, takes on that responsibility with the Safe Walk. I think what we look for safety-wise off campus, one is personal responsibility, situational awareness, all that type of stuff that comes with it. But I mentioned earlier about community involvement in solving crimes. The Crime Stoppers program that's out there, that you can either text in your messages or call in your messages on tips on crimes. I was saying early on when these assaults were happening, I said it on the news a couple times, was somebody out there knows this person. somebody out there has an idea who the person is, tipping off the police department is the best way to get that information. And that Crime Stoppers program has been excellent for all the departments in the Fox Valley area, including Oshkosh and us. And we can follow up on that type of stuff. So that community involvement right there is a big deal for solving those problems. Maybe I'll explain that a little bit better. We never believe that no crime is ever going to happen. We should always, and people sometimes think cops are pretty cynical. We probably are. That crime is always a possibility. And we have the patrols out there, but the economic reality of it is you can only put on so many officers, you can only pay so many to be there. And like Oshkosh said, they still have a focus patrol in the campus area, just not as many people. And we have a focus patrol in that area, but we also want to concentrate on Wisconsin Street area, Lot 18, Lot 30, all those areas, certainly around the residence halls we want to focus on too. So we never want anyone to think, now we're safe. Tom Foydick in the residence halls, we had a conversation one time, and we both agree that no one should ever say, oh, you should come to my campus, it's safe. That gives the idea that you're 100% safe. And unless we put you in bubble wrap and throw you in a box somewhere, we don't think anybody is completely safe. So there's always that possibility that crime can happen. Happens every year around every single college campus across this country. So I think the possibility, given that somebody's in custody, probably went down a little bit, but we never want anyone to get to that comfortable level where they walk around thinking nothing's going to happen, because then you lose that situational awareness. You lose that idea that I need to pay attention to my surroundings and be safe. And maybe I can start walking by myself instead of with my friend or using the Safe Walk program. So yeah, probably every police department and every police chief in the country worries when they go to bed at night that something's going to happen in their area, and we always do. And we take the best steps we can. But we don't eliminate patrols because we think it's safe. The arrest was made based on the assault that night and tied to October 20th based on some investigation. There's still some work going on behind the scenes that they'll take a look at the stabbing case and the other ones that go with it. There could be some tie-ins that come in the near future sometime. But right now the stabbing's not tied into that one. But we're certainly looking at it because some of the similarities in the description of the person and the actions that night. We've been having that discussion, and I've heard a lot of theories that people come out and say, well, you know, there's a heroin problem around many areas. It must be related to heroin. And I'm going to give you my opinion on the whole thing based on what this person was doing. I don't think it was related to drugs. I don't think it was something like that. I really think the person had an attractiveness to violence. I mean, there was some robbery. They took some property, and they probably get something out of it. But based on this person's actions, they were looking for people walking by themselves, maybe not paying attention to their surroundings, someone they could sneak up on, and then do the act that they did. Heroin addicts and things of that nature, they're after money and to get a fix, and that really wasn't the method that they were using in this case.
That weren't aware of it, but the incident where the stabbing was, those two guys, weren't they aware of their surroundings because obviously they were together more and there were other people around?
Yeah, and not to get into too many details about exactly what happened because that case is under investigation, but I put out in one of the alerts I was saying to be careful when you're out there about engaging in people that confront you. If I'm out there looking for somebody and I'm looking to do something violent, I may do something to provoke you, and then I can commit my act. I think that was done a little bit in that case. I referred to it as almost a bully act, and then I was able to commit an assault in that type of scenario. So there is that where they're sneaking up on someone, they're by themselves, and that happened in several of those cases. This one, I think, was a little bit more of, let's see what we can provoke, and then I can commit my act.
I have a question about the blue lights we have on campus. I know when I visited here as a high school student, like 4 years ago, they talked about those a lot, my tour guides, and I was really excited about it. And it made me feel safe here on campus when I was coming as a freshman. And I've noticed over the years, maybe it's just me kind of getting used to walking past them every day. I think I have a feeling they're kind of being forgotten about. And I brought it up with some of my friends walking home from class. We had a late afternoon class, 3 to 6, so we made sure we all walked from the A&C building to Reeve together. And on our way, we were talking about them, and I was under the impression, correct me if I'm wrong, that that there is or is not a camera on those. And okay, there's not a camera. Okay, I'm also curious if it's possible if when someone presses one of those buttons, an alarm could go off. That's just another suggestion that I've heard. I think that maybe advertising those as well as the Safe Walk programs are going to remind a lot more people that they are helpful for us. I don't know what your thoughts are on that.
You're wondering if there's an alarm, or you're recommending that there be an alarm?
Both. I'm sorry.
No, there's nothing that, other than the blue light that goes off, there isn't any kind of audio that happens in those scenarios. There are some around the country that people can upgrade to do it. Some campuses have removed them completely. Everybody has moved on to their own technology with the iPhones and that type of thing, that some campuses have gotten rid of them completely, because every single blue light phone is its own telephone line, and there's an expense that goes into that. And if people aren't using them, some people have gotten rid of them. We've kind of had the feeling that it still offers some sort of deterrent effect when they're out there, and it really gives that person an option. If you forgot your phone, you run out of battery, any type of thing, you always have that option to be able to push that button, and it rings at the police department, and based on the caller ID, we know where you're at. They are set up around campus. Mostly they're adjacent to or near parking lots. There are some areas where there isn't a blue light phone, but there are about 40 of them out there right now, and we do advertise it during Odyssey and other types of orientation when people come in. So we probably get, maybe 10 calls a year, but we don't get a lot of them. But I think it adds a little bit of a deterrent effect. Yeah, I would have to say, if I gave you my my personal opinion, I think when the time happened, it would be great. But we probably get more false calls in a year than we do real calls on those. If you start throwing an alarm on there, I'm not sure how often they would be pushed for that purpose. And I think in the individual situation, that would be great, but you would have a lot of alarms.
Just to kind of piggyback off of that, though it sounds like a good idea, I mean, how many people now pay attention to car alarms? We get numbed to them because, as Chief said, so many of them are false. We just get into this routine that, just another false alarm.
Yeah, probably the better thing for people, and we try to teach that type of thing, noise does help, but then you're talking about people having your own whistle, having your own piece of equipment, you pull it apart and it wails or something like that. That you can carry anywhere instead of having to rely on whether there's a blue light phone in that area. So I would probably say there's a lot of safety products out there. I'd probably say if you added up the cost of adding audio into a blue light phone, whatever that amount of money is, there's probably a better product that you could use for campus that would work.
Okay, I have a question with the blue lights too. I know a lot of people get scared pressing them because they may think they're in danger but really not, and they have to pay the fee. Because I know as when I was an Odyssey leader Odyssey 2 years ago, I was told if you touch them and there was no actual scariness or whatever you want to call it or going on, then you get fined, and that just, I think, turns away people.
Yeah, I agree with that, and we we changed what we're saying at Odyssey. I don't want people that ever scare anyone away. There's obviously, we do on occasion write citations in the year for somebody that thought it was funny. We do have those people that think it's funny, and that harms the process. But we say in Odyssey now that it does not have to be an emergency to push the phone. If you want a safe walk, if your car broke down, if you just think somebody's following you, or you just want some information from the police department, all that blue light phone, even though it says emergency, and I think it helps with deterrence, it's really just a phone call away from the police department because you want to ask a question or you need some help. So what we're saying during Odyssey and other stuff has changed. We don't want people to be fearful to push the button. Because we joke around, probably the best thing would be to allow everybody, have one day when everyone can walk by and just push the button. I think the curiosity is just killing some people. They want to push it and see what happens, and but then they don't when they really need one. So, but we remove that part of the language.
I know someone had a question about safe walk response times. There's been concerns from students that sometimes safe walks, the wait can be a little long. Can you just talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I was saying before, we cover lot 35, lot 39, all over campus. I bet you all the CSOs we have over here will probably shake their head yes, that on a given night, the amount of miles they walk just to do the safe walk and get to different locations is quite a bit. Keeps them in pretty good shape. But we go back and look at those times. It really, for the most part, the safe walks are under about 5 minutes to get there. If you're calling from a remote location or if you're driving to campus, we try to put the information out there that call ahead. If you're getting off work at 2 in the morning, call at 1:45 and say, I'm getting off at 2. Could they start my way? And then you meet them at the door. Or I'm driving into town. I'm going to park in lot 39. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Can I meet somebody there? That really cuts down on the actual time that somebody's sitting there waiting. Last year and this year we're starting to do it again after we get bulks of safe walks. We go back and look at those response times. And there are a few outliers where you might get a 15-minute time and you find out that, we had 32 CSO safe walks that night, and there was some waiting that took place. Typically, the dispatcher is supposed to ask them, are you in a safe location? Are you comfortable waiting where you're waiting? If anybody says no, they're not, we work with uniformed police officers to get to that location and somehow solve that problem, maybe do the safe walk themselves. I get a report every morning. In the last couple of weeks, it's been 31 safe walks done last night, 7 done by officers. So although we're not a taxi service and we try not to drive people around in patrol cars, if we're put in those situations where somebody is in an unsafe situation or having to wait a long time, we want to get them someplace safe. And we have had officers do those safe walks. So the wait times and the job the CSOs do are fantastic, and those wait times are small. But occasionally you're going to bump into somebody that waited 10, 15 minutes, and we hope that people don't believe that's what happens all the time.
I'm wondering if the CSOs are authorized to do anything if they are attacked. Obviously, their presence is a deterrent, but if someone does move to attack, are they authorized to use force, or do they have any kind of weapons with them to protect the student that they're walking?
Sure. In our department, we have defensive tactics instructors that are certified in the state, and they're certified to train police officers, and we obviously have a different engagement than a CSO would have. Our training of them is the same type of defensive tactics, but the number one line of defense is retreat. So if they're with somebody on a safe walk, that number one line of defense is to move that person somewhere safe and not to engage. The pepper spray, the baton, the handcuffs, the things they have on them are strictly a last resort. If something is happening to the person that you're safe walking and you have no other choice but to use some sort of force to stop an attacker, they are authorized to do that. And OSA, Oshkosh Student Association, helps us with money each year, and some of the stuff that we have purchased have been training products. They'll probably put a smile on their face, but at the start of the year when they do the defensive tactics training, we put people in red men suits, and we put them through scenarios at security stations, safe walk scenarios, and other stuff where they have to decide whether to use force or not, and then we critique them on whether that was appropriate or not. And we do show certain scenarios where pepper spray, a baton, something might be appropriate when you have no other choice because you have to protect that person. So there is some authorization, but the number one priority, though, is to retreat. And if retreating is good and you get into a building and get someone safe, then that's the number one thing to do. But if you can't do that and you have to help out and use what you have on your hips, then you got to do that also.
Sorry, I know you gave updates earlier briefly. Sorry, I was out downstairs working, so I couldn't make it up here earlier. In regards to the incident that took place this past weekend on campus, because of the delicacy of the incident in regards to the hazardous material that was found in the house, was the decision not to send out a Titan alert in regards due to the fact that the FBI was here and they had taken over the investigation and there was some, I guess, jurisdictional approach as, was no longer in your guys' hands? Or was it due to the fact that it was far enough off campus that it didn't affect us, or there was no danger to the public? If you could touch on that a little bit, and then I have another question. But
Sure. It didn't have anything to do with the jurisdiction. The Titan alert and any kind of messages we put out, whether they're timely warnings or immediate notifications, are strictly if there's a threat to the campus community. That event, and you touched on it a little bit, was several blocks, quite a bit off campus, and there was never a threat to the campus itself. It didn't originate on campus. It was off campus, and there wasn't that threat, so we did not send one out. If we sent something out via Titan alert, that would have been more of an informational thing. So at that time, because it belonged to the city police and the FBI, we're allowing those press releases to come out from them as to what was going on. I'd recommend anybody here, whether it be UW Oshkosh Police Department or the City of Oshkosh Police Department, both of our departments have Facebook pages. Those types of press releases are going out on there. I'd recommend anyone to like both pages and just make sure when that information comes out, that's where it's going to come from. If there would have been something that said that threat was going to hit campus in some way, we would have used Titan Alert to say, shelter or be careful or this could be an ongoing threat. It didn't hit that criteria, so we did not. Yeah, and at that point, the person that was involved had been in custody that night, so that particular person wasn't a threat either.
So not seeing any hands. If the departments could go through really quick and talk about resources and policies they have in place that help students in regards to safety really quick, and just touch on that so that students are aware about different things that are going on campus, I think that would be helpful.
Well, in the Dean of Students office, I think one of the things that we can always be helpful with is providing information, and if students have questions or concerns, coming to see us. If something happens to you that you need to report, we are always there to take that report and to get you to the right resource. And if you or someone else is troubled by something that's going on campus, we're also a very good place to come and talk to. We deal mostly with student issues, but for things that are off campus with other agencies, we would also refer and get you to who you need to go to. I tell people that lots of times if you want to think about an office and you're not sure where you need to go on campus, start with the Dean of Students office, because if we are not the appropriate place to help resolve your problem, we will definitely get you to the right place for that.
Also provides support to victims and really kind of mobilizes whatever resources that they may need to get back to class or address the issues and concerns that they had as a result of being a victim of a crime.
I guess that is one thing that I didn't think to mention is our location. We're 125 Dempsey. We're in the corner of Dempsey. Great spot. Come and visit us. Come and see us before you need us. We really appreciate students just walking through. And as Dr. Roeder said, I think one of the services, if you are a victim of any kind of crime, we will assist you in a variety of ways, transitioning back to campus, connecting with resources, helping you work with faculty, or if a friend or someone else is, please get them to us because we can help in that way.
I'm from the counseling center. At the counseling center, if there's any trauma that happens, we seek out the victims to offer some support for them. We also look to see who might have also been impacted around them and offer them direct services. So we really try to reach out to these people individually. And then we also offer, if there's group interventions, like for instance, we had offered to go into the various residence halls to process some of the anxiety and some of the trauma that people were experiencing around these events. And then also just people in general are a little bit anxious about things. So we've seen an influx of people coming into the center and wanting to talk about this. So we just are making sure we have plenty of emergency services openings too for people to come in and talk as well. So again, we do reach out, and we do as far as outreach, and we make sure that we are providing as many services as we can. Our location is in the Student Services Building on the 2nd floor.
Emily and I are with the Department of Residence Life, and Residence Life takes the safety of our students very seriously, as everyone does. And some of the things that Residence Life has in place to help keep students safe is the CSOs not only do these safe walks, but they also assist in all the residence halls at our security stations, where most nights it's at 9:30. No one is allowed entrance into the building unless you're a resident and have an ID, or if you're a guest of a resident. And actually, Emily and her crew are the ones that write all these programs, but it's a very sophisticated program to track guests, to make sure we're getting the residents in, and we also track people who are restricted, either from all of campus or from a residence hall. And that program does that. It's been very successful. We also have doors that are card access. Most of the doors, other than the front door, are locked. And the only folks who can get in the other doors during the day would be residents of that building. The front door is open. We do have our desks open during the time when those front doors are open. Another safety concern, I guess it's not a concern, it's a help, is our residence halls also have cameras in most of the public areas in the buildings. That's been very helpful as both a deterrent and to help solve crimes and incidents when they occur. We work closely with the police department. I believe it was last year, a group from Residence Life and the police went around all the residence halls on the outside and on the inside to look for areas that could this be a danger zone? Could this be a place where something could potentially happen? And one example is there was an area near Webster and Donner where there was a lot of bushes, and while they were kind of pretty, at night it could have been an area where someone could be hiding in. Those bushes have been taken out. We've just added additional lighting. Currently over by the entrance of Grunhagen, it's like daylight over there now at night, which is very nice. So those are some of the things that Residence Life has done. I don't know, Emily, if you have more thoughts.
I just have one thing that I would add, in addition to the surveillance cameras and security cameras. Specifically, there are all of our external doors internally, and that's really that we hold very, we want unauthorized access to be taken very seriously into our buildings with security station, with surveillance, and the card access. And we want to make sure the people that are in the building are only those that are supposed to be, and then those systems will be able to help us track down and follow up on the cases that's not true.
Try to minimize and don't allow people to tailgate in.
It's awkward sometimes, don't get me wrong, when I walk into work and I see someone kind of banging on the door, if they don't have an ID to get in, I do make them walk around, and it's really uncomfortable for me, but I do it anyway because we have had cases where if you let someone in, you don't know that they're really supposed to be there or not.
One other suggestion is make sure you pick up a safe walk bracelet down at the police station and wear it. It has the phone number, and that way, anytime that you need to get a safe walk, you've got it right there, and you've got the number handy.
It's a lovely black and
It's
gold.
nice.
What she forgot to say is the Facebook page is on there also,
Yeah.
so if you want to like it.
So you like it.
It's a shameless plug to see who gets the most likes.
There's a little bit of competition, but that's always healthy.
Remember the Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs.
Are there any other questions? So I'll touch really quick on the student perspective. There are a lot of resources that are in place from our faculty and administration. and we're really thankful for that from the students. But there are also your student organizations on campus that are here to help you. OSA and USRH, we both work very diligently with safety on campus. USRH has a safety and security chair. We're working on a Titan alert push right now. Our safety and security chair works very closely with Chief Lemire so that we can address student concerns here on campus. We do night walks sometimes to figure out where their lighting is deficient in the residence halls and in the campus area, so that if there's a campus area that is poor lighting, we can let OSA know so that they can address those concerns. So OSA, USRH, and all your other student government and student organizations really do care about your safety here on campus. So if you have concerns that you don't feel comfortable maybe approaching Sharon or Emily or Buzz or Chief Lemire or Dr. Roeder, you can email your student government officials, whether it's OSA or USRH or whoever you're most comfortable with, and talk to them because we really want to make sure that you guys are here safe too. So if there aren't any more questions. Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it. This was recorded. We will be putting it online so you can share it with other students who might have concerns that were addressed here today, and you can get them those resources to them. So thank you all for coming, and thank you all for coming.